Come on. Come on. There we go.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Ron Taylor. President-elect Donald Trump remains extremely busy choosing hedge fund manager Scott Bessent to serve as his Treasury Secretary. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Bessent, who is closely aligned with Wall Street, has defended Trump's tariff policies and is an advocate for deficit reduction. As Treasury Secretary, he would be a key leader on the president-elect's economic team. Bessent's selection wasn't surprising. He had been among the names floated for the role, and he was described by Trump as one of the top analysts on Wall Street. If confirmed by the Senate, he would be the nation's first openly gay Treasury Secretary. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Mexico has been taking a bashing for allegedly serving as a conduit for Chinese products into North America. Officials in Mexico City are terrified that a re-elected Donald Trump or politically struggling Justin Trudeau could simply expel their country from the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement. Mexico hopes the rules of the trade pact would prevent the United States or Canada from simply walking away. Also at townhall.com, National Weather Service meteorologist Frank Pereira says people living in the Northeast may see some rough weather for Thanksgiving.
There's plenty of uncertainty as to how this system will develop. We are looking at an area of low pressure that will probably develop somewhere over the Ohio Valley around Thanksgiving, and from there work its way to the eastern seaboard. Now, there is the potential on the backside of this system as it moves along the east coast that we could see some further precipitation that could impact portions of the eastern U.S.
And on the west coast, California is bracing for more snow and rain while grappling with some flooding and small landslides from a previous storm. Chuck Woolery, the affable, smooth-talking game show host of Love Connection and Scrabble, who later became a right-wing podcaster, skewering liberals and accusing the government of lying about COVID-19, has died.
Come on.
Mark Young, co-host and sent an email this morning. He died at his home in Texas with his wife.
Give me that look.
You all right?
Yeah.
Townhall.com.
If your approach to everyday aches and pains is to mask them, you know,
yeah, you gotta ask these questions from Paul.
the pain return and then
What
repeat the
questions?
cycle all over again. It's
Can you
time
read it or you
to
throw
try
it?
Relief Factor. And the good
Disney
news is
World.
Relief Factor
Oh,
is
yeah.
that easy.
And
Their
then,
3-week quick start
what's
is
the
just
other one?
$19.95.
Why, and then,
Less than
the
$1
other
a
train is
day.
expensive.
Auto train.
Instead of masking pain,
Yeah,
Relief
okay.
Factor helps eliminate
Tell
it.
us from-
How?
Tell us
it's
from Paul.
Yeah, we have a couple of
the
questions.
ingredients
Huh?
help
Hey,
support
we have a
your
couple
body's
questions.
response to
Yeah.
inflammation.
From Paul.
From
Relief
Paul.
Factor
Yeah.
was developed by doctors. It's
Paul.
100% drug-free. And for so many people,
Good morning.
the results are game-changing, even life-changing. So give it a try. Right now, their 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800, the number 4RELIEF. See how in a few weeks or even days, Relief Factor can reduce your pain. When you feel better, life is just better. So
gonna
don't
torture you with
mask
that.
pain. Fight it
You're like-
naturally with Relief
You're like-
Factor.
YouTube music.
Yeah.
Leaders of Nigeria and India.
Why
have
didn't
pledged
why
stronger
didn't they?
ties to American
Oh, they weren't even around in
foreign
'96.
terrorism.
96, dude. He probably put that stuff before half these bands put out stuff. Half the bands probably ripped him off.
He invited Eddie Vedder and Tom Petty into the studio.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Energy, technology, trade, and development.
Then he tried to rip him off.
No, they ripped them off.
Africa, the total bilateral trade between the two countries
Oh,
estimated $14.9 billion.
Bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just bad.
Jeremy House reports. Delta
Except for that one song.
Except for those two songs I know.
US Airlines by targeting
Oh.
premium customers. Also
Thank you,
wins a
child. Like one of the
share
most
of
beautiful
It
songs
is.
out there.
It's great.
this is
It's great.
squeezing local
Everything else around it is horrible.
airlines which filed for bankruptcy.
It's a good song.
Some travel experts think Spirit's troubles indicate less wealthy passengers will have fewer choices at higher prices. 32 U.S. students selected to attend the University of Oxford.
It's part of the prestigious Rhodes Scholar Program in the coming year among an international class representing more than 70 nations. The 32 recipients are from 19 states, and the District of Columbia represent 20 U.S. colleges and universities. The scholarship will cover all expenses at the Stoid University in Oxford, England. Scholars will pursue graduate degrees in subjects ranging from social sciences and humanities to biological and physical sciences. John Scott reporting.
Israel says the body of an Israeli Moldovan rabbi who went missing in the United Arab Emirates has been found, citing Emirati authorities. The statement from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office this morning said Zvi Kogan was murdered, calling it a heinous anti-Semitic terror incident. Pakistan says it's suspending mobile internet services as supporters are gearing up for Imran Khan's protest in the Capitol. More at townhall.com.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVVF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests. Hey, Joey, what's happening? I mean, what's happening in Middleboro and surrounding towns? It's time for
Joined by our guest via the phone lines, Danny Harmon, in just a few minutes.
Middleboro News, here on AM 1530 WVBF. Hey, Joey, what's happening?
Okay. Line up. And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Middleboro in Review. I am Joey Driscoll. Today is the 24th of November, 2024, there we go, turn up Don's mic and say good morning to Don. Good morning.
I tortured you this morning.
Kinda, yeah, you did.
I did.
With some subpar music, but, we'll just...
You don't know what you're talking about.
We'll leave it at that.
You don't. You know what? I'm going to keep playing it and playing it and playing it. And you gotta block it now.
I'm just a little disappointed.
Good morning, everybody.
Zach Wilde took a little bit too much advice from Tom Petty and Eddie Vedder and ripped them off completely.
Well, you don't know what you're talking about. First of all right? Okay?
Anyway.
If you ride into my truck, I'm going to play. I'm going to torture you. That's how I'm going to play it from now on. You should have just kind of been quiet about it, and then I would have forgot about it. But now, it's too late.
No, I'm not going to be quiet about it. It was a horrible experience. All right, anyway, moving on. Weather today. Let's start with the Driscolls today. 61 degrees in Driscoll, Texas. Clear skies. A high of 87 with a low of 61. Clear skies today. Clear skies tomorrow. High of 90. In Driscoll, Texas. Driscoll, North Dakota, 21 degrees, cloudy skies, 28 for the high, 14 for the low, clear skies, cloudy skies. Clear skies tomorrow, high of 17 with a low of 5. We're going to get to you're going to get to the negatives, Driscoll, North Dakota, pretty soon as well. Thursday, the low for Thursday is -7. So, very cold on Thanksgiving night at Driscoll, North Dakota. In Taunton, 44 degrees, mostly sunny skies, a high of 50 today with a low of 33. Clear skies tomorrow, 53 with a low of 34. And in Middleboro, 44 degrees, a high of 51 with a low of 33. 53 tomorrow, clear skies, a low of 34. So there's your weather. Excuse me. We have our Today in Histories. I'm not sure if we're going to have time to do them as we're expecting a phone call in just about 1 minute here. But I'll keep an eye on the phones here.
He's pretty punctual.
Yes, I'll keep an eye on the phone lines here as I try to find...
I think your head's going to fall off. You're back and forth. And your neck's going to come spin right
I know. I try to find the Today in Histories.
I'll just do it another time. He's going to be calling.
I know he's going to be calling, but he hasn't called yet. So,
all right.
We're waiting here.
Well, what time is
anyway.
What time is it now? 7:11?
7:11.
Oh.
Yeah, 7:11. So, we got a phone call. So let's get this going here and
you gotta get my
turn this up, turn my headphones up, and
headphones.
say good morning to our guest this morning. I think this is our guest, Danny Harmon. Good morning, Danny.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good morning, Danny.
I'm good. I'm just getting going here. How
You
about you?
You get your coffee yet, sir?
I'm just drinking it now.
Yeah. You gotta have your coffee. We got our
A
coffee.
little slow.
Yes.
A little slow today. It's very chilly down here. How is that up here, Massachusetts way?
It's been
Pretty
warm.
cold.
It's not cold.
Pretty pretty cool.
We had a nice string of weather, Danny, for the last 3 months. I mean, not much rain. I mean, that's problematic, but the weather's been really nice. So we really haven't had what they call Massachusetts weather at this late in November. So,
Yeah.
You get those storms, those big fronts coming through this time of year, don't you?
Usually, but we just had some rain, and it was just a regular little rainstorm. But
Yeah, we had a couple days of rain.
Yeah,
Had a couple days of rain that we really needed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Upstate New York, Cleveland, Ohio, and some parts of Pennsylvania. They got their first snow a couple days ago, but
Right.
it was the rain that came through here. But no, it's been really nice. It's really extending, but we're gonna pay for it. We always do. We gotta,
Yep.
and we're almost into December, and
Almost. I mean, in Driscoll, North Dakota, it's getting cold. So
yeah.
that's one of our weather.
Now, what's cold for you in
things,
Florida? Because 60's cold for you guys.
We had 40s this morning, high 40s.
Ooh.
Very cold.
It's 50 degrees here at the house right now, so that's chilly for us.
Yeah, that is chilly for you guys. Wow. Yeah, a buddy of mine lives in Melbourne on the other side there, and he said it was cold. It was getting cold a couple days ago. So yeah, but it doesn't stick around in Florida. I mean, it's nice all the time, but I mean, when we get into our funk here, I mean, when we get into our bad weather, it sticks around, and you know, you're talking, you know, single digits and stuff. You don't see that in Florida.
Oh yeah. No, we don't see anything, just not in this part of the state anyway.
No, yeah. So, how's everything going, Danny? How's the train world treating you and everything?
It's good. I've been able to get out the last couple of weekends and do a little shooting. And I hope to get into even more of it in the coming months. So I'm working on had a question from a viewer 2 weeks ago asking me what hand signals were. And that's a great thing about my channel, my YouTube channel, that I get a lot of newcomers to the hobby, and that's what's really cool about it. This guy asked me what hand signals were, and I thought, you know, that'd make an interesting video for a lot of newcomers. You know, if you've been around rail fanning for a while, you know what hand signals are. That's when the conductor, he walks back to the bottom of the train and gives, you know, the signals to the engineer, you know, with his hand, you know, like a traffic cop, and instead of using the radio. And they'll do that when they've got a short cut of cars, you know, 1, 2, maybe 3 cars, something where the engineer can see to the back of the train. You know, the engineer will give, you know, the hand signal, the rotating hand to keep backing up, and then the wave on the bottom quadrant, I call it, to stop and stuff like that. I mean, it's not rocket science stuff, but I thought it would be interesting to newcomers.
Yeah, that's it's funny too, because a lot of your last videos have a lot to do with what your people emailing you, emailing you and asking you about different, like the turnout one you did for the turnouts. How fast can you the trains take the turnouts, and you explain the different speed limits on as far as the turnouts. And I found that one fascinating because I love everything to do with interlock and turnouts. It's just, I think it's a fascinating piece of railroad work when they do that.
And every one of these that I do, I have to do research on, because when I get down into it, you may think, oh, well, I've read back, 35 years and I know all this stuff, so it's not. And when you start probing around with this stuff, you realize all the stuff you don't know. And man, it's just, I get an education on every one of these. That's why I have such a big interval between the videos, because it takes me some weeks to gather up this information. Then I have to shoot, find examples of it in the field to illustrate it. So, that takes more time. But I've really been doing this track work stuff, track and structure, what I call it, lately, because I've gotten these questions about turnouts and switches and signals, distant signals, and all that kind of stuff. And I have an insider. His name's Del Cobb. And he's a track contractor. He's a track construction contractor here in the Tampa Bay area. He's out of Mulberry down there, and he does work all over the Southeast. He's got his own equipment, and he's got crew. He's got a crew, and those guys just travel everywhere. Last week, I released a video about what the heck was the name of that video?
That was what are they saying?
Oh yeah. What are those guys saying? You know, the train jargon over the radio. Well, I just happened to shoot a place in Jacksonville behind an old warehouse that had been remodeled and refurbished and repainted and everything, and then they had dug down with a couple of Bobcat, bulldozer type machines, and they had dug down behind it from the loading dock there, and it looked like they were putting in new track, like to put a new railroad track, because it's right next to the railroad main line there in Jacksonville. And I just remarked on the video, I said, it looks to me, my the rail fan side of me looks, wishes this was a new industry track and getting a new customer here. But I'm sure it's just them doing some kind of maintenance, digging out some old track or doing some communication line work. Well, he sent me a Facebook message the next morning and said, you were correct. We are building a new track in there. We got a new customer in there. They're putting new track on that old, 80-year-old loading dock.
You were talking about how you've seen a lot of the industrial spurs disappearing in the last few years anyway. That's what I've noticed in the videos.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Hundreds of them. They're just dropping off everywhere because, the railroads for the past, 25, 30 years have had a real focus on large customers only. They're not shipping out 30 or 40 cars or receiving that many, a couple of times a week, 2, 3, 4 times a week. The railroads don't want anything to do with them. But I think that with the advent of kind of longer, mixed freight trains, that's the train where you see all the different types of cars, and box cars, and tank cars, and auto racks, and hoppers, and, all the different kinds, that it's become more profitable for the railroads to try and create some of that small customer business. The guy who will only receive 1, 2, or 3 box cars every week, and maybe ship out that many if they're a manufacturer. So, I sense that kind of business is starting to come back, because it's not cheap to build a railroad spur to your business, to the loading dock of your business. That's really expensive. In the old days, the railroads would do it for you. Back in the 40s and 50s and up through the 60s, the railroads would build that track to your business for free if they could, have a guaranteed amount of business. But they don't do that anymore. They make you pay for that yourself. So
maybe they're realizing
money changing hands somewhere.
Maybe they're realizing that part of the business was lucrative, and they want it back. So Joey's got something. He's got some questions for you.
Some
Danny,
questions for you from a listener, from a coworker actually of mine, and a listener of the show. His name's Paul Lazarovich, and he wrote a couple questions down for me. The first question I got here is if will we ever see if there isn't one already? I'm not 100% sure.
Was there?
Was there before, or will there ever be a direct Amtrak train or other train, like a local line, to Disney World?
You mean coming off the main lines up there and running up to Disney, like actually into the park itself?
Or next to it, yeah.
Well, if you're familiar with Disney, I-4, the interstate highway that runs from the Florida East Coast up at Daytona, down through Orlando and to the West Coast in Tampa. I-4 runs past Disney, but it's not super close. I think it's about 4 or 5 miles south. And, Disney's got its own road that runs into the park and up to the Magic Kingdom gates, up to up to the gates where the parking, where you get your parking pass and all that stuff. So they would have to build a line. Say it was Brightline that did it. They would have to build a line off of their main line, which ostensibly is going to be right next to I-4 or in the middle of I-4, depending on events. They would have to build that line, and Disney, I'm sure, would have to kick in for it. So I don't say that as an absolute no. In fact, I look at it, the likelihood of it happening more favorable now in today's climate than ever. But as to when, I mean, that's anybody's guess right now.
And the second question here, I know you've done videos about the auto train before, but when it comes to the auto train, how expensive is it when it comes to taking it, riding it, or taking your car to it?
I can't speak to the actual fares of auto train. When we took it about 6 or 7 years ago. Our tickets were about, I think they were about $229 or $39 a piece, something like that. So it's not cheap, but it is a great way to travel, especially if you want to take the car.
That include the price of your car too? $229 or whatever? Or?
I think it did.
Wow.
You can't travel without your car. And all that.
Right, no, but I mean, I figured there'd be a separate price for your car, and then, I mean, you guys got coach, obviously, because, right? You guys.
No, we got sleepers both times. It's just too far of a trip.
Then
coach.
You must have planned way ahead.
Old guy like me.
You must have planned way ahead. You must have to get that rate. That's an unbelievable rate.
I think we booked it about 6 months out. So,
that's unbelievable. That's a great price. Vehicle
and don't quote me on that anymore, because I can't actually remember the price that we paid, but it was a pretty good deal, as I remember.
You did a video on that. It was just kind of a short. I mean, you did the turnaround video in Sanford, about maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, and then you did that video a few years ago when you guys went on, and it was a short video. But you said you liked it. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was a good product? Did you like it?
You mean Auto Train? Is that
Yes.
what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. The food was actually pretty good. Amtrak food is like It's
Yeah,
not
right.
the greatest in the world, but the food was really good, and the trip was just great. They have improved the track on the CSX end just exponentially down in Florida, on the A line down there where it originates out of Sanford. Because that used to be a really scary piece of track there, and it would shake you up pretty good going through the switches. But they have improved all that stuff, and especially when you get up on the RF&P, north of Richmond, Virginia. That is just beautiful track. I think it's all concrete ties now up there. But that's a beautiful ride. The cars are all really well kept. Because Auto Train is its own animal. Amtrak, Auto Train doesn't share its equipment with other parts of the Amtrak system. They maintain that stuff. They clean it and service it in Sanford, Florida, and they also do the cleaning up in Lorton, Virginia, outside of Washington, the other end of the terminus on the Auto Train trip. So they keep their own equipment. They don't have. I think they've only got. I don't know if they've got 2 train sets or if they've got 4, but I think they're down. So they've got some spare protection cars and a few protection engines now, but they really keep their own stuff. It doesn't get beat up by getting shuffled around on the Amtrak system. So it's really nice. I'm just looking up online here. Right now, you can book, if you book in mid-December from Lorton to Sanford, a coach ticket is $158 on Auto Train. And I think that includes your car. And you ready to travel? I'm reading here, passes for rooms and told her. Yeah, looks like it. Now, if you bump up to a private room, it gets into the 700s pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. for sure. I'm looking at
cheap ride.
anybody who is interested in the video that Danny did. It's called "Switching the Auto Train." It's all about how the auto train switches around and what they do when they come into Sanford, Florida. It was one of the best videos I think you've ever done. It was really good, and there's some other shots of different crossings you did in that area.
I had a real good luck with that video because in every video that I do, I just show up to these places and start shooting, and if you don't have access, you can't. It's got to be the place where I can see the action here, because and the railroads, they don't let me on their property. They just don't do that because the liability is too much for
Well,
them.
you also say in your videos too that you don't trespass, and you make it quite clear.
I try not to trespass at all. Sometimes you're going to get in a little hairy situation. Sometimes when you're going to get on the property.
Right.
I always make it a practice to stay at least 25 feet back from the tracks.
Right.
Because it's just anything else is just dangerous, and it makes the railroad nervous, and I don't want to do that. And it's just I do that. But that auto train thing, I did that back in I shot it in August of 2021, and it's tough shooting an all-day shoot in Florida in August, but. I did it. I shot it over 2 days, and the Amtrak crews, there's several of the Amtrak crews that knew my work and were subscribers of the channel. So I got a little bit of insight. One of them would walk over in between switches and tell me, okay, here's what we're going to do next.
Right.
Do this here and do this here. And that was a huge help. And so that was nice. And I flew the drone over the facility. I shot a lot of video, a lot of drone video over the facility. A lot of times, you'll have a security person come up to you and say, hey, you can't fly a drone here. And I always comply with that, even though it's absolutely not true. You can fly a drone anywhere there's not restricted airspace.
Yeah, but meanwhile, you got all your footage. I think a lot of people liked it. 381,000 Ks and probably 30 or 40 me watching anyway, for sure.
Wow, that much now?
I love it. I always go back to that.
Yeah.
So, Joey's...
we got a commercial. Well, we got a news break to do, so let's do that news break, and we'll be right back with more with Danny. We'll talk about what are some of his favorite videos of 2024 as we wrap up 2024. I know we still have December to go, but we'll ask this question anyway. We'll get into some Thanksgiving high school sports, maybe a little bit too. What his opinions are in the Tampa area as to what are the things to watch when it comes to Thanksgiving football. And I know there's a lot of sports news going on in Tampa right now. The Tampa Bay Rays are struggling right now to find a stadium. The Tropicana is having some issues. The roof and the construction there and the fix there is a lot, and they just had a vote on the new stadium or potential new stadium, which got shot down.
Okay. We'll see
And
what
I guess we'll talk about that if Danny knows anything about that too a little bit later on. But we'll have more with Danny Harmon coming up in just a few minutes. All right.
How's it going, Danny?
Okay, just to let you know, I'm good till about 10 till.
10 till. Sounds good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Sounds good. We'll do...
I've got a couple of errands that she's got to make, and I told her I'd go with her, so...
All right. That's cool. Thank you for everything you do. I appreciate you calling and taking the time to talk to us.
Enjoy you guys.
You got your biggest Northeast fans right up there.
Yeah, I can't wait to come up and see you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully in 2025.
Yeah, well, I'll be down in May. Hopefully, we got a day you and I can go run the tracks or whatever. You said you'd be retired by then, so maybe you'll have some extra free time. That'd be good.
Yeah, January 15th is my last day at the Fox.
I'm sure you got to be keeping yourself busy anyway.
And especially with what's going on with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My God,
yeah. There's a chance.
that is a genuine mess.
There's a chance they might relocate. Small chance, but
You know, we keep hearing that every day. We keep hearing it every day because they don't want. You know, the St. Pete City Council, they had a couple of members on it. You know, there's this $300 million deal, this bond issue that they were going to endorse. You know, keeping the Rays here, and they had this big fancy mixed-use park they were going to build. You know, where the crop is now, they're going to tear down the old crop. And they had made this big dog and pony show back in July or August. It was over the summer. And they said, "Oh, here's what we're going to do. We're going to post in the head. The city's 100% behind you." Well, then Hurricane Helene hit. And then Hurricane Milton hit. Milton was, of course, Helene was the watery one, and Milton was the windy one. Well, Milton took the top off the stadium. And, oh my God, and that just wrecked the whole deal for them. Because, you know, those stadium covers, they wanted $100 million, I think, to replace it.
yeah.
I think the original was 55, and there was more damage down low. Yeah. We're going to tear this place down.
Yeah, and they were going to hold a vote. I think in September or October, that they pushed it back to this month after the election, and there was two members who were positive towards the deal for the new stadium that didn't win re-election, and two people that got in were negative against the deal, and that's I think that's why the deal got struck down.
The thing that's always been controversial anyway, you know, is the city. And St. Petersburg is a little bit of a strange town because it's still predominantly a retiree town. You got people down there, older folks, and a lot of them don't like their tax money being spent on stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it's very controversial.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
I sent you that video last week when I told you that kid Miles in transit. Did you check that out?
I watched all of that video, and a lot of I'm really surprised by the amount of hits he had on that. You know, it's one of those types of videos that it's on YouTube, and kids, they shoot it all with their phone, and it's really all more about them than it is about the trains itself.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, he's all right. He did some pretty good videos. I mean, he's all right. His friends are, I mean, there's some of his friends. Oh my God.
No, he is all right.
He's all right. He's been everywhere. But I mean, he doesn't really do the nuts and bolts like you do. He's more like whatever, you know.
Well, he's got his audience, you know, and it's like a wider interest audience, you know, than what I do. I really appeal to what I call hardcore rail fans.
Oh yeah.
My wife, you know, she'll look at a new video every time I post it. She'll go, "Okay, this is interesting to your people, I guess." Yeah, it is.
Well, you got the numbers, but at least he's watching your videos because anybody who watches his video wants to do about the turnaround. They'll watch, and he put it up there too, and then
that was a nice shout out, even though it was very quick. But that was a very nice shout out. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I watch his stuff. If he does any more, I'll text you. I'll let you know. You know what I mean? But I thought you.
Subscribe to him because he obviously he and his buddies obviously do a lot of traveling on different modes of transportation. I assume they have a couple of bucks.
They got the Patreon thing going. They got that whole thing figured out, and they're making money. They probably can quit college and do that for the rest of their lives.
Oh, we got about a minute.
Yeah.
A little less than that, 45 seconds.
I'm gonna be on Auto Train at the end of December. I'm helping my brother drive his truck down to Naples. He's gonna build a kitchen down there, and I'm helping him, and he's gonna fly me back. But we're taking Auto Train in December.
Did you get a good deal on that?
He hasn't even done it. I told him the other day, you better. But he's not paying for it. The guy who he's doing the job's paying for it. So whatever.
All right. So first thing we'll do in this segment is we'll do the sports stuff real quick, and then do the last question.
All right. We got the
that
time
I have.
up. Should we get some more training?
Yeah,
stuff
7:50. Yep. So
Right.
we got a couple minutes here.
So you
So
gotta take your second break at 10 hours?
but yeah, when we're done with the interview with Danny here, and we'll do the second break. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and welcome back. As I find where the there we go. Find where the button is to turn down the bumper music. There we go. Turn down the bumper music. We're good there, and we're back with Danny Harmon of the Distant Signal YouTube channel, and we got a lot here to talk about here in the last couple of minutes here. We'll switch over to we're gonna go back to the transit stuff here at the end. Got a couple of things we want to talk about because it is Thanksgiving weekend. Thanksgiving weekend means Thanksgiving football, Don. A lot of great football around here in Massachusetts, but also in Tampa, Danny. There's a lot of great Thanksgiving football there. What are some of the matchups you might be interested in or looking at, or do you go to any of them during Thanksgiving?
Well, I'm not on Thanksgiving, no, because the crowds are crazy for that. You know, everybody who grew up in Tampa is at home Thanksgiving weekend. You know, no matter where you are, because if mom and dad still live in Tampa, then all the kids are home. You know, and I think the grown-up kids, so it's a very crowded town on Thanksgiving weekend. I'm sure, you know, Boston and all the big cities are the same way. But I'm not gonna be going to any of the games that weekend unless we got folks coming down, and you know, when we do Thanksgiving, that's a 100 round the clock venture for us. I would hope to go to today's game and see the Bucks play the Giants today, but not gonna make that. So
We've got a couple of games here. Here I'm looking at an article here on TampaBay.com. Mentions Plant versus Hillsboro, which was something that started in 1928 on Thanksgiving Day every year. Neither school.
That's a big cross-county rivalry. Hillsboro High was, of course, the original high school in Tampa, and everybody went there for a while until Plant came along. And I think they built Plant in the 20s, but Plant in the last 30 years has become a football powerhouse. And I actually don't know how they're doing this year, but the Plant Hillsboro game's always a big deal. Cross-town rivalry.
Something that also has been, I don't know if it's been held in recent Thanksgivings for the college football side, but Gore on I-4, USF-UCF rivalry. Black Friday, usually it happens in its later years, 2013 to 2014, 2017 to 2021. That is a pretty big one as well. I know, I think it's UCF, which is, they're pretty good, or have been pretty good in recent years. And
but the USF, I haven't had an incredible season this year, so. But that's always a fun game. The War on I-4. I've been doing it a couple of times when it's been here in Tampa. You know, USF still doesn't have their own stadium yet. I think they broke ground on a new one up there. Lord knows they've got all the real estate they need. They've got probably more real estate than any other university in definitely in Florida. They just staked out gigantic tract of land up there back in the 50s when they founded that. But they haven't built on a third of it yet. So they've got plenty of room for a stadium, and they get that thing built. That's going to be a lot of fun. They will have to. They will get to stop playing in Raymond James Stadium where the Bucks play. So that'll be nice.
And speaking of stadiums, speaking of teams that don't have their own stadium, the Tampa Bay Rays, that disaster of a situation right now. The Tampa Bay Rays, as of right now, are going to be playing in a minor league stadium, at least probably for the next couple of years, unless they do relocate, which has been talked about. I don't know how likely that is, but now you have two teams, one on each coast, playing in a minor league stadium. That's a little concerning.
Well, the Rays situation is literally a natural disaster. And, it happened during Hurricane Milton back in October. You guys all know about that. Hurricane Milton came in and poured the roof off of Tropicana Field where the Rays played in downtown St. Petersburg. And just a month before, the Rays and the city of St. Petersburg announced the deal. They're going to tear down Tropicana Field because it's old, and obviously the roof is a little old, and the stadium is not very well liked in the league. And it's, you can hit a home run and hit the rafters up there, and or even a pop-up fly, ball in will hit the rafters, and the other teams don't like it anyway. Milton came in and ripped the roof off the stadium, and all of a sudden the price tag to fix it for next year's play was well over $50 million. I think it was in the $70 million range to fix this. Well, they're not going to pay that for a stadium that they're going to tear down. So all of a sudden, that issue came up, and so in order to play next season, the Rays announced they made a deal with the Yankees people to play over at Legends Field, which I believe is called Steinbrenner Field now. That's the minor league stadium over in Tampa, where the Yankees have spring training games there. Big. It's a very nice minor league stadium, but it's still not anywhere close to major league. Well, the city of St. Petersburg people, the city council and the mayors went nuts over that. So you can't play in Tampa. If you play in Tampa, we're going to withdraw our bond issue, our $312 million bond issue. So that created a big hubbub, and now they don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll be definitely keeping a close eye on this situation. I love sports. I love talking about sports. So I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on the situation. So back to transportation. Back to our transportation topic here. One last question for both of us here. My question is, what have been some of your favorite videos that you have worked on here in 2024 as we enter the final month of 2024?
My favorite videos in 2024, I have to go back and look at them. I would have to say that, for some reason, I did one back in August called "Sinkhole on the Main Line," and it was just a trip. I didn't even have a plan when I went out that day, that Saturday. I was just going to shoot some trains and see what I got and everything. Well, I heard the dispatcher come on the radio, and he said, gave a train an EC1 form, which is, train orders. And this train had to stop and at this road crossing up near Bushnell and get out and check out to see if there was a sinkhole on the main line that had opened up. Well, for your listeners up your way up there, a sinkhole in Florida is not a small deal. That is a borderline, that's a catastrophe that's waiting to happen. Because sinkholes are just basically where the land has given way and fallen true to the aquifer down below. And depending on how far the aquifer is from the surface, it can be either a small issue that can be filled up, with some truckloads of dirt, or it's a huge issue where you got to go around it and rebuild and everything. Anyway, they got up to the thing. I got there before the train got there. I got my drone in the air and flew over it. Well, it turns out the sinkhole was actually a pothole that had opened up in between the rails at this road crossing. But it was enough to where all these people came out that brought out, a tracked road foreman, and he looked it over and everything. Finally, after about 45 minutes of waiting and hemming and hawing, and the guy ran a pole down there, and he said, "This is just a pothole that's opened up, just a drainage problem." Yeah, because the railroad crossings will wash out if we've had a lot of rain. And Lord knows we had a ton of rain in Florida in August. Anyway, it wasn't a big deal. They finally gave the go-ahead for the train to go across it at walking speed. They did it, declared it no problem. The train made it across safely. Anyway, I included that in my video, and people just loved it. That was a lot of fun. I just got a ton of email and a ton of comments on that, so I really enjoyed that. My favorite, I think, this year, my favorite video that I did was a trip to Savannah with a friend of mine, Paul Newsom. We scouted out a short line up there that hauls kaolin, which is a mineral that's used in a whole bunch of stuff, and it's a very rare mineral in the United States. You can find it at several points all over the world, but especially in Georgia. And this one family owns these kaolin mines up in Georgia, in between Macon and Savannah up there. And they also own the railroad line that hauls it out. And so we went up there and scouted that, and we spent a day scouting that railroad, the Dry Branch Railroad and kaolin up there. And then we spent a half a day in Savannah, had a great lunch down there at a place called the Savannah Seafood Shack, and it was just a lot of fun. So that was my favorite video this year to do.
I think your fans like the sinkhole one. The Distant Signal, 125,000 views, came out 3 months ago. I know you got like another minute or two. Just want to ask you another question about short lines. I know you talked about the Crystal River power plant, and sometimes there's coal hoppers that head out there. I'm not sure if that's still the case. But is that a short line, or does CSX run? What line is that? Is that like the Gainesville line where it pops off over at Stark?
That's now a short line. It's being leased to the Florida Northern, which is one of the used to be the Pensley Group, and now somebody else has got it, and it's slipping my mind who it is. But it's part of the Florida Northern, Florida Midland, and Florida Central group of lines. Florida Midland is out of Frostproof down here, then the other Florida is out of Orlando, and then the Florida Northern there is out of Ocala, and they come up and service that line.
Where they pick up that line? Is that at Stark, I think, or is that line abandoned from Stark points west?
No, it's still running.
Okay, so that's where
they do run cars on it.
So if they go down the Stark, which is I think is the S line right there, going through Stark and whatnot.
Correct. Comes off the S line at Stark at a place called 1E Junction, and runs down on the old seaboard to somewhere, I guess, Burnett Lake, and then comes on into Gainesville. Oh, Gainesville still gets cars down there. I don't know if the coal plant in Gainesville is still operating, or if they switched over to natural gas yet.
Right.
But they used to get a couple of cars a week, and I think the big Duke power plant at Crystal River that used to be nuclear, it was built as a nuclear plant. They realized they had problems, so they added a whole bunch of coal-fired units, and now they've shut that down and switched over to natural gas because they have a pipeline that comes out of Louisiana straight across the Gulf into that Crystal River plant.
So there goes the rail traffic for that, pretty much. It's
pretty much. I don't know what the future of that line is. I just hope they don't surrender it to being a rail trail, because
well, it's just harder to take it back when they need it. I mean, it's because at some point some of these rail trails are going to have to be seized back for transportation.
I hope so. I know it's going to make a lot of runners and bikers mad. But,
I know, but
7:52 a.m. Want to thank
I
yes.
really enjoyed you guys. Thank you very much.
Want to thank Danny for calling
I'll
in
be in
today.
touch. I'll probably try to reach out before Christmas. Wish you guys a Merry Christmas, and we got Super Bowl Sunday. Probably
Yeah,
next
Super
time
Bowl
you can call
Sunday.
in, right?
Yes.
That'll be the 5th year in a row for you. So that's your tradition. We're gonna keep going here at WVBF with Danny.
We'll see you then. Now, real quick, Danny, before you go, how can people get a hold of you and watch your videos?
Watch my videos on youtube.com/distant signal. And that's me. And I would love it if you guys checked out my channel.
All right. Thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you for calling, Danny.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas to you guys.
Happy
Okay,
Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. See you later.
Yep. Bye. Danny Harmon of
It's
the
always
Distant
great when he
Signal
calls in.
YouTube channel.
Oh, it's cool. It was great meeting him. I met him in May, and he bought me breakfast, and we went to a place called Perkins. And I think I said this story before, but it's a story worth repeating. So, guys, breakfast, and he says, you're going back to your family. I said, yeah, my sister. He says, bring them home a Perkins apple pie, and they'll love you for it. Okay, so I bought a pie. It was like $14. It was absolutely right. My brother-in-law, my sister, my niece, everybody were like lost their mind when I walked in the door of the Perkins apple pie. So I took his advice on that, and so that was good that he called. And I want to thank Danny for calling and taking the time.
Thank you, Danny.
Yeah.
And we'll hear from him again on Super Bowl Sunday. And
and thank you, Paul. I forgot
yes.
to thank Paul for my.
Thank you, Paul, for the questions.
No, what love letter
also
was that?
the notes as well today.
What love letter was that?
I don't know, but you can read it.
Let's see here.
You can read it as I get my Today in Histories up.
It's love note 28 2/3. So thank you, Paul, for reading
All right.
the love note and the questions, and I hope everyone enjoyed Danny Harmon.
All right, Today in History. Well, coming up here in just a few minutes, we'll have Bread of Life with Pastor Ortez Vandross.
We talked to him.
We talked to him recently.
He might come on the show
Might
soon.
be coming on the show soon. More information when we get it. When it comes to when he'll be gone, but when he'll be on.
And then,
but he might be coming on the show very soon, so stay tuned.
When's next Sunday? Is it December next Sunday? Yeah?
December is next Sunday. Yes, I
So we got
believe
Chuck-
so.
I think we got Chuck Hart, right?
Yeah, we do. Chuck Hart next Sunday, December 1st.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. Chuck Hart usually joins us for the
All right,
first
yes, so-
Sunday in the month.
Bread of Life, 8:05 a.m. this morning. Part 2 of a message called the man in the middle. Part 2 of that message this morning. So stay tuned for that. Always a great message that Pastor Ortez Vandross brings every single week here for Bread of Life. So we have that coming up at 8:05 a.m. All right, our Today in Histories. Genghis Khan defeats the renegade Khwarizmian prince Jalal al-Din at the Battle of the Indus, completing the Mongol conquest of Central Asia on this day in 1221. 1832, South Carolina passes the Ordinance of Nullification. This was a major deal in South Carolina. The Nullification Crisis, declaring that the tariffs of 1828 and 1832 were null and void in the state, beginning the Nullification Crisis. This cost to the president at the time a vice president, because his vice president was from South Carolina, and he stepped down because of this. So the president at the time had to find another vice president, Don. So that was a very interesting thing. What are your quick thoughts on the nullification process?
What year was that?
1832.
What president was it?
It was, I think it was Jackson. Hold on one second. Let me just double check on this. Yes, it was Andrew Jackson.
And what vice president?
Vice president would be, one second. Let me get that up. Vice president. He had two. One second here. Well, let me finish up the Detained Histories and I'll get that up at the end. 1940, World War II. The first Slovak Republic becomes a signatory of the tripartite tripartite agree. There we go. Tripartite pact.
Say
There
that
we go.
15 times
I know. Joining the Axis powers. Of course, there was several others. I think Hungary was one as well. There was a couple others. There wasn't just Italy, Japan, and Germany. There was a couple others in there too. 1963, Lee Harvey Oswald, the assassin of President John F. Kennedy, is killed by Jack Ruby on live television. Robert H. Jackson takes the photograph of the shooting that will win the Pulitzer Prize in photography the following year in 1964. 1971, during a severe thunderstorm over Washington State, a hijacker calling himself Dan Cooper, D.B. Cooper, parachutes from a Northwest Orient Airlines plane with $200,000 in ransom money. He's never been found. The money's never been found.
There's a movie.
Very interesting.
There was a movie about that. Pretty good.
Very interesting stuff there. All right, and before we continue with our birthdays and passings, let me get Andrew Jackson's vice presidents here. John C. Calhoun was the vice president during his first term, and he resigned about a year before the end
of his first term.
of Jackson's first term,
because
of the nullification crisis. So we have that there. All right, our birthday. Oh, actually, we have a couple more today's histories. I apologize, we missed two. A national speed limit is opposed on the Autobahn in Germany because of the 1973 oil crisis. The speed limit lasts only about 4 months. 1974, Donald Johnson and Tom Gray discover the 40% complete Australopithecus africanus skeleton named Lucy, after the Beatles song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Oh, they named it after that?
Yes, they did.
How original.
I
love it.
In the Awash Valley of Ethiopia's Afar Depression. Birthdays. 1784, Zachary Taylor, American general and politician, the 12th president of the United States. 1893, Charles F. Hurley, American soldier and politician, 54th governor of Massachusetts. 1940, Paul Tagliabue, American lawyer and businessman. He was the 5th commissioner of the NFL. 1938, Oscar Robertson, American basketball player and sportscaster. 1941, Pete Best and Donald Duck Dunn. Pete Best, Indian English drummer, and Donald Duck Dunn, American, here we go, American bass player, songwriter, and producer. 1944, Bev Bevan, English drummer. Passings on this day, 1943, Doris Miller, American soldier and chef, and also a Navy Cross recipient. 1948, Anna Jarvis, American founder of Mother's Day. 1991, Freddie Mercury and Eric Carr. Freddie Mercury.
They died on the same day, right?
Freddie Mercury and Eric Carr passed away on the same day.
Eric Carr, Freddie Mercury, Queen, and Eric Carr in Kiss.
Yes.
Yeah, second drummer. Yeah, that's the first drummer that replaced Peter Chris, right?
And also passing away on this day in 2016, Florence Henderson, American actress, singer, and television personality.
Everyone loved Florence Henderson, Mrs. Brady.
Brady Bunch, yes.
She was a sweetheart.
All right.
I was sad when I heard that. I really was.
All right, that will do it for today's program. I hope everyone enjoyed today's program. We'll be back next week with Chuck Hart. And next Monday, join me for Middleboro Matters. We'll have Middleboro Matters this week.
Next Monday? What, you mean tomorrow?
No, yes, we'll have tomorrow's Middleboro Matters, but join me also next Monday when we'll have Eric Dunn with us once again to talk about our sports. We got a lot of sports to talk about since we met the last time. A lot of things going on with sports, so we'll be talking about that next Monday on Middleboro Matters. All right, we'll be back next week. I hope everyone enjoyed today's program, and we'll be back with Chuck Hart on Middleboro in review next week. Bye-bye, buddy.
Broadcasting live from the Taunton Federal Credit
All right, I gotta go.
Studios.
Bye, everybody.